potentially. And that's the matchup for Simmons, and that's where the Nets are going to need some help. They have a great offensive team now. Think of the shooting. They have four of the best shooters in the league, guys. Curry, Mills, Irving, Durant. They have enough offensive firepower, but Simmons is going to need to guard a lot of positions. The big question for me now, guys, in the short term in particular, is where is Ben Simmons today? Where is he mentally? Where is he physically? He hasn't played yet this year. We've heard he has mental health issues. How quickly can he get back in the lineup? But as we look at the Eastern Conference standings, I don't think the Nets are going to be in 8th or near 8th very long, Brendan. When they get KD back, when they get Simmons in the lineup, this is a team that I think will ascend and could easily be back in the Eastern Conference semifinals or the conference finals. And if they're healthy, they may be the team to beat with the moves they made today.
I like the moves they made, but I'm not sure how quickly they're going to ascend just because of how good the East is right now. And then even some of the teams below them, those aren't bad teams. When you look at some of those teams like Atlanta and Boston, those teams can play as well. And we know when KD comes back, it's not like KD's going to play all the
playground game. Only the NBA is best at playground games with our friend Jesse pitching in on commentary. It's good to be here. I'm be calling this game with you. There's going to be a lot of action tonight. I'm excited. There's a legendary player on the court. Everyone be ready.
It's not going to be a cakewalk like the last one before. Where it's like, oh, you got these three big guys in Brooklyn and no one's going to be able to do anything. I have no idea what Brooklyn is going to be, even when KD comes back. I know they're not going to be 8, but are they going to be 6? Are they going to be 5? I don't know, and they're going to have a very tough first-round matchup because of the depth of the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. So here's the tough question for you. Assuming everybody is healthy, Simmons comes back, plays like Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant comes back from injury, looks like Kevin Durant. Who's the better team? Philadelphia or Brooklyn?
Playoff series in the short term, I would go
probably. Feel to have superpowers?
I'd probably go Philly. And that's just because we know what James Harden, even James Harden helping me down here, he's still 23 points per game, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists. They throw that in there with Joel Embiid, and that becomes the most dynamic pick and roll in the league. And so I know they're going to be able to run that. Still have Maxey out there, still got Tobias Harris. They still have a lot of pieces that are going to be able to help this team. So I think that Philly right now is probably the better team, but I wouldn't discount what Brooklyn can do because obviously they have Kevin Durant, and I agree with you, man. I think that Milwaukee is because they have less.
It's going to be fascinating to see them now the playoffs and in the postseason. Well, by the way, the Nets, meanwhile, are still bragging around a 90-game lead last week as they play the Wizards tonight in Washington, D.C., and that's where we find Stan Van Gundy for the Nets and Wizards on TNT with Brian Anderson and Stephanie Letty.
Curry, don't do it like that.
For both teams, what does this massive move mean for both the Nets and the 76ers to you?
Offensive rebound.
Well, I thought it was great for the Nets. I think not only
they got
an all-star who's 17 James Harden, who helps their defense.
He ducks the eye from downtown.
The ball in his hands all the time. So I think it frees up Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to do their work.
He chucked up a break.
Oh my fucking God. Another big-time shooter in Seth Curry, one of the most efficient shooters in the league this year. And look, they've had a
this is not darts.
They've been starting Nick Claxton.
We're seeing a turnaround here. It's anybody's game.
And if you look at the problems that Brooklyn has had, rebounding has been one of their
sprint all you want. Won't affect your stamina.
In the NBA this year.
Steph left him in the paint saying, you thought you were going to make that?
A tremendous day for Brooklyn. Now, there's still a lot of ifs because of the vaccine. You're probably only going to be able to play those guys together.
Fire streak.
Back and Durant. You've got
just shaking him.
Damn, the fucking one spot.
He is locked and loaded.
But the move to me was
fantastic handles. He has handles.
I think Sean Marks did a great job today in this
Stephen Curry.
I think you've now got a better Brooklyn team that fits a lot better. And Ben Simmons
controlling that
drive. He's on the level of Draymond Green as far as its versatility defensively, and the Nets have struggled with that. Really helpful.
Let's hone in for a moment on the two marquee players in this year, Ben Simmons and James Harden.
and they're closer to getting out of their situations. There will be critics of both players in terms of how they went about moving on. As a coach, which players are close to this intent would give you more pause?
Well, obviously, the one that would give you more pause is Ben Simmons because he didn't even show up on the play. So, you know, James Harden was out there.
The three does not go down.
I'm concerned about Philly, though, to be quite honest, Matt. I don't see the fit. I see the talent. But James Harden and Luka Doncic, yeah, they're the two most ball-dominant guys in the NBA. James Harden's never played with a big like Joel Embiid. Philly has been throwing that ball into Embiid.
Nigga, give me a fucking wipe or something. Fuck out of here.
And James Harden has played the same. He plays James Harden basketball. He's going to
keeping it alive, going to the glass yet again. This is domination.
He's certainly a talented guy.
Stockton.
But I don't see
Weber.
The natural fit there. I think Doc Rivers has
shooting from the perimeter.
The
shot clock lottery pick isn't flashy. It's useful.
Curry leaves his man in the wet cement. If you thought you were seeing a blowout, boy, you just played yourself.
James' turn now. Now we'll give Joel a
running down that shot
something
clock.
like that. Where James Harden has thrived is when the ball is in his hand all the time. Number one,
Stephen Curry torches the defender.
Possession. In terms of times of possession, number 2 in seconds per touch.
A minute to go, time to kick it up a notch. This is prime time.
Has to be Joel Embiid's team playing through him. If they
It's an interesting take. We've seen that approach before with Harden, the taking turns and other stops for him. Now, maybe the biggest surprise all day, at least for me, was the Mavericks moving
out of here.
It was 2 losses from the New York tonight. Spencer Dinwiddie and
Too much. Imagine trying to guard that.
Are Bradley Beal
yeah, I'm almost
We're seeing some obvious elements.
move on Washington's part because what they tried to do with Brad Beal in the past is they tried to pair him with another
nowhere to fucking
John Wall,
Stephen Curry.
to Spencer Dinwiddie. Brad Beal, he doesn't hold it, you know, quite like a
rebound.
but he's another guy that needs the ball in his hands a lot, and pairing him with another guard was always a little bit uncomfortable. Now they're going to pair him with a big. It might be a better fit. We won't know until we see it.
We're going to need a switch because no one can guard Stephen Curry's crossover.
I think a lot of it was
Durant with a signature jump shot.
Finney Smith to a 4-year extension.
This one is too close to call. We're going to have to settle this in overtime.
Temporary do something with it.
From Dallas's perspective, and hard to figure out.
Stephen Curry out here looking like the professor on some street ball.
And they've been playing real well.
He eats the glass.
That they could beat anybody. It's hard to say this hasn't been a step back for them in terms of this season.
Defense is slowing the grind to a
play in
brawl.
terms of flexibility for that franchise.
Sets it up.
Plays
It
out
down.
in the coming months. Interesting day. It'll be an interesting night. We'll look forward to your conversation tonight during the Nets and Wizards on TNT.
Take another shot.
Thanks.
Utah.
Fuck out of here.
To see him tonight on TNT Game 1 of the doubleheader. Meanwhile, out west, the LA Lakers did nothing on deadline
less
day.
points
Surprised they had very little flexibility in terms of what they were capable of doing. Are you surprised at all that there wasn't a transaction reported from LA today, at least from the Lakers side? I'm not, Matt. We talked about it last night. We talked about it on the early show today. The Lakers wanted to move. They probably wanted to make a move more than any team in the league. They just didn't have the assets to get it done. The contract for Russell Westbrook making $44 million this year, player option, which he's going to opt into for sure for $47 million next year. And then the key piece, who didn't have enough value on the trade market, Talen Horton-Tucker, their young player. He has some talent, but he hasn't shown it consistently. Teams really didn't value him. Keep in mind, they owe a ton of picks still to New Orleans, picks and pick swaps for the Anthony Davis deal. So the Lakers just didn't have enough assets or the contracts to construct a deal. I think they probably needed to make a move more than any other team, which is why, for me today, they're the big loser because now we'll talk about the buyout market. But, Brendan, I
don't know if this team will be at the front of the line or near the front of the line on the buyout market. As you know, guys who get bought out usually want to go to a championship contender. Are the Lakers at 26 and 30 and 9th in the West in that category? To me, they're not. That's why I think some of these players who do get bought out will look at other options ahead of the Lakers.
The Lakers are just championship talented. Let's be honest. You hit it right on the head. Veterans or guys that are in the buyout situation, they're looking for great situations. They either A, think they'll be re-signed or have a chance to win the championship. The Lakers, when you look at the money on the cap and when you look at where they are from a team standpoint, they don't offer neither. And so I wasn't surprised when the Lakers didn't make a move because have you ever been to a high-end store like a Neiman Marcus and everything in there is a little bit pricey? Well, if you walk in there with no money in your wallet, you probably can't buy anything, and that's what the Lakers are right now. They had a lot of things they were looking at out there that they wanted to buy, but they had nothing to pay for it with. No one wanted Westbrook. Nobody wanted THT. You're not getting rid of Anthony Davis, so what are you really doing here? Malik Monk is playing great, but he's on a veteran minimum salary. So the Lakers had nothing to barter with, nothing to trade. The only thing that they possibly had on the table that I heard had any legs was they could have maybe got John Wall, but they were going to have to sacrifice some things they didn't want to do or take on some things that they didn't want to have to take on.
Well, first of all, I've never been in a Neiman Marcus. I hear it's very
You've never been in Neiman Marcus?
No, but I hear it's very, very expensive.
Well, if you make sure you have that in your wallet when you go.
Secondly, the Lakers, I was watching them last night in Portland. They looked terrible. I mean, honestly, it's just telling it like it was. That's a game they should win. And then they sound frustrated. They sound like they understand how bad things have gotten. I don't know if they were expecting a deal as players today or not.
Good to be here, Ian, but this is going to get a little freaky when I post the video commentating on my own
through the door to save the day for the Lakers. What is that conversation like today?
Well,
we are
today
in
in
the
locker room,
presence of
everybody
a
knows
legend.
be there, so you guys we got to do things a little bit differently. We got to figure out how do we get better. LeBron actually hasn't been very inspiring in his press conference. He hasn't been saying the things he normally says. LeBron normally gets it right. This is like some press conferences with the press. So we're not like they're
agree with you, man.
the fact that we're not good. So they're trying to figure out how do they get past that? How do they jumpstart this locker room? How do they get better defensively? Because the only teams in the Western Conference that are worse than the Lakers as far as giving up points are the Sacramento Kings and the Houston Rockets. They're not competing for anything. So if you're in the same boat with them, you're not in the boat for a championship. The Lakers have to figure out how do we play this? How do we make this Russell Westbrook situation work? Because he is not going anywhere probably this year, definitely this year, probably not next year either. How do we make this work? How do we get better defensively? And it starts with us. No one is coming to save you.
LeBron seemed more interested in the wine ahead in Napa Valley, where they were headed before the Warriors game, than what was ahead on the schedule for the Lakers. It's bleak right now. All right, much more coming up here.
Quick, fuck. Man, come take a fucking two. Fuck. You're not hitting.
Westbrook. No, soup for you. Take another shot.
Always
He goes to the glass and passes it. The defense is all over them.
Where the battle for the long begins.
Get that out of here, little man.
The cause you fight for. No one can take away.
Fire streak. Ooh, with that gap widening, it's beginning to look like a blowout.
Overwhelming you. Breathe more.